Hello, I'm Beverly, and this is To Inspire Someone. My voice is a little raspy today, but um, this is um, testimony number 11, and the title is Virginia Western. Virginia Western is the community college that I attended um, early during my marriage. And the reason why I said earlier during my marriage, because I have to go back just a little bit to explain about, I went to, I graduated high school after I got married. I got married, I think well, anyway, I graduated a month before I turned 18. I got married when I was 17. So, anyway, I didn't get to go straight to college because I was married and I was expecting our first child, our son, and it just didn't allow for me to go straight to college. So, a couple of years went by. I think when I was 24. Yeah, 24, the early part of my being 24, I went to college. And the testimony is about two experiences that I had there at Virginia Western. Well, first of all, I was older than the majority of the students that were in the classes that I were taking. But I had two classes that I'd like to tell my testimony about. The first one is my business math class. My professor, he paid attention to me because I was older. He didn't know that I was older. What happened one day, I was sitting there talking to the students that were in the class. We were waiting for the class to get started, and I get along with everybody. So I started talking to the young kids. They probably were 18 years old, 19 at the most. And so I started a conversation with them, and we started laughing, and like I got along with them real well. But then when the instructor came in, he heard me talking, and for some reason I said something about my age. And I told him my age, and he said, "Excuse me, I'm not trying to interrupt your conversation, but you said you're how old?" And I told him, and he said, "That's amazing. You look like you're 18, fresh out of high school." Those were the words he used. And those kids said, "Yes, she does." I said, "Oh my goodness. That's not expected." But anyway, he said that, and he said, "Truly, I mean that." He said, I said, "I'm married, and I got children. Both of my children were born at that time before I could go back to school. Aisha was the youngest, and anyway, he told me that, and that the reason why I'm telling that as part of my testimony is because a person that already, I had pretty low self-esteem for a little period of time. But for somebody that is teaching you to tell you, compliment you that way, that was the start of me getting the encouragement that I needed to continue on no matter what I was going through. that I was self-doubting myself about even going to school, period. Um, but when I heard that was necessary for me to start to lift my head up a little bit and just be proud that I was able to go to school and somebody complimented me. That was very nice. So anyway, that wasn't the only incident. Um, my psychology class, my instructor, he would always pay attention to me. And we did a lot of essays and assignments where we had to put thought into. And I noticed that he would always hold mine to the side. And I said, oh, I must be maybe doing something that I shouldn't do. So I didn't say anything to him and nothing like that. Not at first. And then as we got about halfway through this semester, it was just a pattern of his to set my assignments over to the side. And we kept what we call it was like a notebook or a composition book that we put down, our thoughts or whatever, since it was psychology class. And I did mine very neatly because I wanted to make a good impression. Not that I was trying to please man, but I did it because it made me feel better to present myself, especially since I knew that I'm older than the average student there at college. So anyway, he graded my assignments and I always got an A. It was like, whatever I said, we had groups that we had to sit in and interact with one another, and I got along with everybody. He switched me around a couple times, but my grades stayed A's, like in high school, regardless of whether I was married during my senior year or not. I still kept my grades up. So anyway, my grades stayed A's straight through. And then what touched my heart was on my back page of my composition book that we had to do all during the semester, he wrote A pluses all the way on the inside back cover. And then at the end, he said, you have the potential to be a great writer, author. And he handed it to me with everybody else's, and we just left out. I didn't even get a chance to thank him for what he did that day, because that, and what the business math professor said, that is what compelled me to continue and to do my best, regardless of whether I was older or whatever. We can always find a reason or an excuse to not do something, but the key is to at least start to do it, because chances are you'll find a way to make it work, and it'll end up being positive instead of a negative situation going on. So those two professors, I don't know if they're still here or not, but if they ever get a chance to hear this video, this testimony, I want them to know how much impact they had on the way I thought about myself. And it made me feel really good. And the bad news was, by the time I was taking data processing, which is computer technology. And when I got into the lab, by the time I got to the semester where I had to go into the lab, You have to like be more driven and dedicated to go into the lab every day. And sometimes you had to come in on weekend, and uh, just it was just very consuming. You had to put a lot of thought into it. And like I said, I had two small children, and that began to take a toll on me. But I can tell you, my grades dropped uh, quite a bit when I went into the lab and started working with the computers. We had to create programs and all kind of diaphragms and all that kind of stuff. But the good news that came out of my college experience, I didn't finish. That's the sad part. And one of my visions or dreams is to get my college degree. I'll tell you a little bit about uh, something else that took place after I left school. I did not graduate from that 2-year college, and that's one of my regrets. But what I can tell you is those two classes that those professors made those statements to me that had such an impact on my life. Um, I was on the dean's honor list for 2 semesters in a row, and that made me very happy. I didn't get to get my degree, but I was on the dean's honor list, so because of the A's. So anyway, the point I'm making to anybody that's hearing this video or hearing my testimony is not long, and I want you to know that don't underestimate yourself or your potential. And I believe it's more of a reason for you to go forward when you start feeling negative about yourself, because God has instilled something wonderful in all of us. He has a plan. He has a purpose for our lives. And we'll never know if we don't put one foot in front of the other and start to do something that we desire to do. We'll miss out on opportunities, and we may miss out on a lot of blessings, because I believe the blessing is in the pressing. I really do. That's what I feel in my heart. I believe when you press your way and do everything within your means to accomplish what your goal is, then I believe doors start opening for you. Where I had no idea that years later that I would become a published author. I love to write, and I have been on jobs where I had to write. I created a retention schedule on one of the last jobs that I had before I retired, and I created all kind of documents, and I was good at editing and proofreading and just organization and managing things. I always like to do orderly things. So that college experience was short-lived, but it paid off, because the truth is I didn't need a degree to get the jobs that I did, because I proved my knowledge of what I did. I always went in 100%, gave myself 100% to accomplish whatever that job was. I got some very good jobs. I was in associations. I got a chance to learn a lot. I took additional extended classes as I went along during my time. Anytime I could take any classes, I always took them so I could get a CEU. I think that's what they call it, a continuing education unit or credit, whatever you want to call it. But I always use that opportunity, because if I had the means to accomplish it, I did it. And it was evident in the jobs that I achieved over the years. I'm very grateful for the jobs that I had, very good experiences. A couple of them were learning experiences, but I thank God because each thing that I've gone through, whether it was a job or not, it's pushed me to grow. And that's the main purpose for all of us. Don't underestimate yourselves. If you have something in your heart that you want to accomplish, it's never too late. As long as you're here breathing, you have an opportunity or a chance. Um, did you know that the Bible has a scripture? I believe it's Ecclesiastes uh, 3:11 or 9:11, one or the other. But time and chance plays a part in everything. So you'll never know whether you can achieve something if you don't take a chance. Get out there and start to do it. And see, that's what God needs to see, uh, movement. He needs to see something on your behalf that tells him your faith is there, present, for you to, for him to bless you in it. In other words, you got to be doing something about it. Like if you say, I want to be a um, scientist, well, if you see you just sitting there saying the words, it won't work. So, like I did start school, and I had the very best interest at heart at graduate, but sometimes life, you know, I won't say gets in the way, but it gives us a little curve, and we have to kind of deter from what we're doing to get to where we're going. But I believe that every experience, whether short lived or long term, plays a part in who we become. I always have said life is what you make it. It's a matter of uh, not giving up when failure is not the final say. Like if you fail, brush yourself off, get over your little pity party or ego or whatever, and get back up and try it again. Most people who are famous or that have achieved anything did not get it the first time. They kept at it and they worked hard at it and they stayed focused on it. And eventually they look back and said, I can't believe I struggled so early on. But just to think, if they had given up before they had achieved their goal. Now, my goal still, even though it has nothing to do with my life, because I've already worked all the years that, as far as on a job where you go and, do a timesheet and all of that. I'm working constantly for the Lord, and that's the best work. But I had to get to this point, and to do that, I had to do my very best at what I did, no matter what the job was. And I had some, like I said, I had some very good jobs. I'll probably have testimonies about a couple of the jobs because I had some very interesting experiences there. But in every one of my testimonies, whether I invite somebody, of the ones that are mine, I will uh, magnify God in my testimonies because that's the whole purpose of a testimony. And like the scriptures that I have, y'all said John 5:39, NIV, and Luke 21:13. Those are scriptures that speak about Jesus. His testimony is his holy word. The Holy Bible is Jesus' testimony. And he's a perfect example. So we all have a story, or a lot of stories of experiences that we have in life, and make those experiences and things that you love to do benefit you. Start to do something. I'm speaking to somebody out there that may be sitting at home and they keep asking the question, what is my purpose or what am I intended to do? Well, you never know until you get up off the sofa and get out there and try something. Whatever you love to do, I tell people when I counsel that you should try something that you love. Set and have a little time to yourself every now and then and think about what you may want to do. Don't just think too long though. Get up and start doing something towards it. So, I believe that every good experience starts with a thought and then with an action. So you get up and do something after you think about this is something I love to do. And then once you're moving and doing, God starts sending blessings, letting you know that He's pleased with your direction. Now, one thing that I would encourage you to do is keep God at the center of it. Well, that's enough about Virginia Western. I didn't really have that much to say about Virginia Western, but the points that I made was those two professors that made that profound impression on my life that has lasted, and I'm much, much older. And right now, still today, those things affect my life because they took the time to encourage me. So thank you for listening today. And I want you to have a wonderful day yourselves. And I look forward to you. Since this was testimony 11, so I look forward to number 12 coming up real soon. Okay? All right. Have a good one. Bye.